Hey everyone. Have you ever felt like those STEM classes are just trying to cram a whole encyclopedia into your brain all at once?
I know that feeling.
It's a lot.
It's a struggle,
Yeah,
keeping up with all that dense information.
totally. So what if I told you that there are some seriously effective note-taking techniques out there
Oh, yeah.
that can help you not just survive, but
Yeah.
actually thrive in those science, tech, engineering, and math courses?
Absolutely. A lot of students think that note-taking is just about writing down facts,
Right.
but in STEM especially, it's about going way beyond memorizing things
Mm.
and really truly grasping the concepts,
Yeah.
the underlying concepts.
Yeah, I love that. So let's say I am staring down this mountain of material
Yeah.
for my upcoming physics class. Where do I even begin to build this note-taking toolbox?
That's a great question. So before you even open your textbook
Okay.
or walk into the lecture hall,
Okay.
take a few minutes and do a little pre-class prep.
Mhm.
Think of it like looking at a map. Before you go on a challenging hike, you don't need to memorize every single trail or
Mhm.
elevation change,
Yeah.
but just having a general sense of where you're going
Ah.
and what the terrain looks like
Mm-hmm.
can make the journey so much smoother.
Makes sense.
So skim through the readings or watch a quick video
Okay.
just to get a feel for the key concepts and the direction the lecture might take.
Right. So it's kind of like warming up your brain muscles a little bit before
Exactly.
the heavy lifting starts.
Precisely.
Okay.
Once you are in class and you're ready to take notes, let's talk about a tool that can be a total game changer.
Okay.
The Cornell note-taking system.
Okay.
It's a structured approach
Mm-hmm.
that encourages active learning and helps you make connections between different concepts.
Okay.
So picture dividing your notebook page into 3 sections.
Okay.
You have your main note-taking area,
Uh-huh.
a cue column on the left, and a summary section at the bottom.
Okay. I've heard of the Cornell method, but honestly, I've always been a little intimidated by it.
Oh, yeah.
All the boxes and sections seem a little too rigid for me.
I understand that feeling.
Yeah.
But trust me, the structure is where the magic happens.
Okay.
So during the lecture, you take your notes in the main section like you normally would.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the twist.
Okay.
After class, you go back and you use that left-hand cue column
Uh-huh.
to jot down key words,
Okay.
formulate questions,
Interesting.
or even create many summaries for each piece of information.
So the left column is like a back and forth conversation with the material after
Exactly.
the lecture is over.
Exactly. And that bottom summary section,
Yeah.
that's where you synthesize the main points, write down any aha moments, or even create a little cheat sheet to review later.
Gotcha.
This helps you interact with the material multiple times,
Yeah.
which research has shown to be super effective for long-term retention.
That makes sense. It's
Yeah.
like you're taking the information on a few laps around the track instead of just one quick sprint.
I like that analogy.
Right.
Yeah.
But what about for those of us that are more visual learners?
Yes.
Are there any note-taking tools that can tap into that side of the brain?
Absolutely. If you're someone who thrives on visuals, mind mapping might be your new best friend.
Okay.
It's all about representing information in a way that mirrors how your brain naturally connects ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of just linear notes, you create a central hub for the main concept,
Okay.
and then you branch out,
Mm-hmm.
creating a web of subtopics,
Yep.
keywords, and even doodles.
Mind mapping. Sounds fun.
Yeah.
I can see how that would be helpful for subjects like organic chemistry,
Absolutely.
where you're dealing with these complex molecules
Yes.
and reactions. So instead of just trying to memorize a bunch of formulas,
Right.
you could actually create a visual map of how the molecules interact.
Exactly. Think of it like you are creating a visual story of a process or a concept.
So for example, in a biology class,
Yeah.
you could use a mind map to explore the interconnectedness of an ecosystem.
Okay.
You would start with the sun as your central energy source,
Mhm.
and then branch out to show how that energy flows through different producers, consumers, and decomposers.
So mind mapping is about making those connections visible,
Exactly.
kind of like creating a roadmap of how the different ideas relate to each other.
Yeah, like a visual representation.
Okay, cool. But what about those subjects where visuals are already a key part of the material,
Yes.
like physics
Right.
or engineering?
Right.
Do our notes need to become like works of art?
Well, they don't have to be masterpieces,
Okay.
but incorporating visuals into your notes can be incredibly powerful, especially in those fields where diagrams, charts, and graphs
Right.
are essential for understanding.
Yeah.
Even if you are not a natural artist,
Right.
the act of sketching out a diagram or a graph
Yeah.
really helps solidify the information in your brain. I guess it's kind of like that saying, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough.
Right.
But in this case, it's if you can't draw it,
Yeah.
you might need to go back and revisit those concepts.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And this ties back nicely to the concept of mind mapping.
Okay.
Both techniques really tap into that power of visual thinking, which can be a huge advantage in STEM fields, where abstract ideas can sometimes feel intangible.
Right. Okay, so we have got our pre-class prep,
Yes.
our Cornell notes,
Yeah.
our mind maps, and our diagrams. So our note-taking toolbox is starting to look pretty impressive.
It is.
But let's be honest, sometimes life gets busy.
Yeah.
And those meticulously crafted notes end up buried under textbooks and lab reports.
Right.
How do we actually make sure that we are absorbing all this information?
That's a really great point. You are hitting on a crucial point. Taking notes is just the first step.
Right.
The real learning happens when we revisit those notes and engage with the material in a meaningful way. One of the most effective strategies for long-term retention is spaced repetition.
Okay.
The idea of reviewing information at increasing intervals.
Spaced repetition. I have heard that term thrown around. But can you break it down for me?
Yeah. So it sounds a little more sophisticated than your usual cram everything in the night before the exam approach.
Right. Which I have definitely been guilty of.
I hear you. Cramming is definitely not the way to go.
Yeah.
If you want the information to stick around.
Right.
Spaced repetition is all about outsmarting your brain's natural forgetting curve.
Okay.
So instead of cramming everything in at once, you space out your review sessions over time. So maybe you review your notes briefly right after class, then again a few days later, and then again a week later.
Gotcha.
Each time you revisit that material, you strengthen those neural connections and make it less likely that the information will fade away.
So it's like building a muscle.
Exactly.
Like consistent workouts over time lead to long-term strength.
Yes.
Whereas one intense session just leaves you sore and exhausted.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. But STEM students are notoriously busy.
Yes, they are.
Juggling classes, labs, problem sets.
Right.
Maybe even a part-time job.
Absolutely.
How can we realistically fit spaced repetition into our already packed schedules?
I get it. The time crunch is real.
Yeah.
But here's a reframing that might help.
Okay.
Think of those short review sessions as an investment. By spending just 10 or 15 minutes revisiting your notes after each class, you are actually saving yourself hours of stressful cramming later on.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like those preventative maintenance checks on your car.
Yes.
You know, it might seem like a hassle at the time.
Right.
But it can save you from a major breakdown down the road.
Exactly.
Right.
And don't underestimate the power of those little pockets of time throughout the day, waiting for the bus, standing in line at the coffee shop.
Okay.
Those moments can be perfect for a quick review session.
That's true. You could even make flashcards or use an app.
Exactly. You can create flashcards on your phone.
Yeah.
Use a spaced repetition app to help you stay on track.
Okay, cool. So we have got pre-class prep, structured notes, visual aids, spaced repetition.
Yes.
Our STEM note-taking toolbox is overflowing with great strategies.
It is.
But before we wrap up, there anything else we should add to our arsenal to really conquer those mountains of information?
One last but very essential tool organization.
Okay.
Whether you are a digital note taker or a pen and paper enthusiast, having a system to keep your notes tidy and easily accessible is key. Think of it like organizing your tools in a workshop.
Okay.
You wouldn't want to waste time rummaging through a jumbled mess every time you need a specific wrench or screwdriver.
Oh, I can definitely relate to that. I've spent way too many hours searching for that one crucial equation or diagram buried somewhere in the depths of my messy notebook.
I know the feeling.
So how do we keep our notes from becoming a chaotic wasteland?
Right.
Any tips for taming those digital and paper jungles?
For the digital note takers, apps like OneNote or Notion can be lifesavers.
Okay.
They let you create folders, subfolders, and even use tags to categorize your notes.
Right. So it's like having a searchable index.
Exactly.
For your entire brain.
Yes. Plus, you can use headings, bullet points, and bold text to make your notes more visually appealing and easy to scan.
Cool. What about for us old school folks who still prefer pen and paper.
Yes.
Are we doomed to a life of messy notebooks
Not
and frantic page flipping?
There are plenty of ways to stay organized.
Okay.
In the analog world, too, color coding is a classic technique. Use different colored pens or highlighters to categorize information or emphasize key points.
I like that.
You can also use sticky tabs to flag important pages or create dividers to separate different topics.
Okay. Those are some great practical tips.
Yeah.
So the key takeaway is that finding the right organization system is a personal journey.
It is. It's about what works for you and your own style of learning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have covered a lot of ground today, from pre-class prep and structured notes to visual aids, spaced repetition, and even organization.
A lot of information.
What is one final nugget of wisdom you'd like to share about note-taking in STEM?
Here's something to think about.
Okay.
What if, instead of viewing note-taking as a chore, we approach it as an act of creativity?
Ooh.
Instead of just passively copying down formulas and definitions, imagine engaging with the material in a more personal and expressive way.
Interesting. So instead of just trying to replicate the textbook, we are actually creating something new and unique.
It's like you're translating the language of STEM into your own personal language.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we are transforming those daunting notebooks into canvases for exploration and discovery.
Exactly.
And even a little bit of artistic expression.
I like that.
I think that's a perfect note to end on.
Yeah.
Remember, your STEM journey is your own.
It is.
And your note-taking system should reflect your unique learning style.
Absolutely.
And your own goals.
Yes.
So go out there, experiment, have fun, and don't be afraid to get creative.
And as you embark on your note-taking adventures, remember to celebrate those aha moments.
Yeah.
Those flashes of understanding when everything clicks into place.
Yes.
Those are the moments that make the STEM journey so rewarding.
Totally.
Happy note-taking, and may your STEM explorations be filled with curiosity, creativity, and success.